Weeks of pressure both outside and inside his party, as well as a diplomatic standoff with India. Justin Trudeau has stepped down as the Prime Minister of Canada and the leader of the Liberal Party. This announcement comes as Trudeau faced a mass rebellion from within the Liberal Party as the Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre surge ahead in the opinion polls. Former Trudeau ally Jagmeet Singh, the head of the NDP, also threatened a no-confidence motion after pulling out of the minority government. This move also comes ahead of Trump taking office in the United States after that stellar victory against Kamala Harris. And now Elon Musk has tweeted, 2025 is looking good. So a tongue-in-cheek comment coming in from the Tesla CEO. This creates a major twister in Canadian politics ahead of the general elections later this year. But first, listen in to Justin Trudeau.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Let's get a view from Canada itself. I'm joined by Dean Baxendale, Canadian journalist on the broadcast. Dean, how do you decode this move coming in from Justin Trudeau? Did he see the writing on the wall when it came to his political future in Canada?
Well, I think it became obviously very apparent that Trudeau, the Prime Minister, along with his advisors, had seen that this was untenable, not only for Canadians, but within the party apparatus. The Liberal caucus was in revolt, and ultimately, he found himself no longer in a position where he could continue to lead and have any of the support that's necessary to run a party, let alone the country. So that is where he found himself. And I think that his exit at this particular point in time will help to salvage, potentially, for the Liberal Party, some opportunity to put a new leader in, put a new set of policies and new face on how they will deal with the current national crisis that is emanating out of the White House in Washington and its effects potentially on our national economic security. We cannot afford for tariffs to come in place, and the Canadian government is being apprised by various experts, including myself, on this particular subject as to what is behind and what are the necessary steps moving forward on how we work with the Americans to secure North American economic prosperity and ultimately security for both and all three nations, actually, Mexico, Canada, and the United States.
Dean, please continue to be with us. Let's get a view from the Indian diplomatic perspective. I'm also joined by Deepak, Vohra, former diplomat on the broadcast. Thank you, Mr. Vohra, for joining us on the broadcast. A huge twister coming in ahead of the general elections in Canada. Justin Trudeau stepping down. Clearly, he saw the writing on the wall. What does this do to the standoff with India that's currently taking place between the two countries?
Well, thank you very much, sir. Always a pleasure to be with you on your channel to learn from you. And I was just listening to our colleague who was telling us about the political ramification. Let me put it to you very, very quickly and very bluntly. Very difficult to build relations. I have been 51 years in diplomacy and counting, ambassador to 6 countries. It takes decades for relationships between 2 countries to stabilize. And then one buffoon like this clown of Canada can destroy it within a few weeks. Now, sir, let me just tell you, Canada had become an international joke. And what I'm going to tell you now is very interesting. I was planning to travel to one of the 3 African countries where I'm special advisor. I was speaking to the Home Minister and I said, sir, I'm coming. He said, yeah, Ambassador, we are safe when you come because we have no Indian plumbers here. So he was joking about this fellow. And I don't know if Canadian diplomats, ambassadors, high commissioners have been telling him that you made your country into a laughing stock. I don't see any change. I don't see any dramatic improvement in our bilateral relationship till whoever is going to replace him looks at India with the respect that the rest of the world looks at us. Let me just put it to you like this, sir. He has his internal problems. You know all about that. We know about inflation. We know about immigration. We know about rental going through the roof. We know all about unemployment. four great powers of the world. He messed up his relationship by mocking Donald Trump. He's messed up his relationship with Russia by abusing Vladimir Putin. The Chinese president let him have it at the Bali thing, and he's messed up his relationship with us over a plumber and without giving any evidence. So this man obviously has lost it. Sir, my own feeling, and I have a lot of friends in Canada, I've been speaking to them, they all say, thank you, Mr. Trudeau, for leaving. Now we'll try to take our country back from extremist elements.
Right, but Mr. Vohra, if I'm looking at the latest opinion polls in Canada, the Conservatives are at 44. Justin Trudeau's Liberal Party, now no longer his party, is at 20.9%. But Jagmeet Singh's NDP is at 19%. Do you think that the pro-Khalistani NDP will still be a power player even if Justin Trudeau exits the political stage in Canada?
No question. They had nothing to do with Justin Trudeau. They have no love lost between the two, between Jitmit Singh and Pitmit, or whatever this just out Trudeau fellow. There's no love lost. It was just for the Khalistani party. It was just, here is a convenient chap who will do what we tell. You know, when he came to India, so I don't know if you recall, I'm much older than he was doing things like this and saying, oh, what a beautiful Bhangra dancer I am. The man is a joker. He's a lunatic. And even the Sikhs were laughing at him. But what is going to happen is that the new Democratic Party of Jagmeet Singh, they will certainly have a role to play in the next government, and they will not allow them to improve their relationship with India as much as we would like it. So there's very little that we can get from Canada, no technology, etc. Yes, their pension funds have invested in India, not because they love us, but because they get very good returns.
Right,
this
and
is not
Right, and Dean Baxendale is back with us on the broadcast when it comes to the political dynamics inside Canada. Thank you, Dean, for joining us once again. As I was asking the ambassador over here, that Jagmeet Singh's party, the NDP, is at 19% in the latest opinion polls coming in from Canada. Even though Justin Trudeau has exited the political stage, Jagmeet Singh continues to be a power player in Canadian politics. Will Pierre Poilievre have a complete U-turn from what Justin Trudeau maintained as a stand with India, in your opinion?
Well, that remains to be seen. I think, once again, our politics in Canada has been very divisive over the last decade or so, as we've used diaspora politics to leverage opportunities for political gain in terms of putting people in place inside various governments who are particularly akin to maybe foreign interests, etc. In Jagmeet Singh's case, certainly he has shown a pro-Khalistan sentiments before, and certainly I think that the Pierre Poilievre government has an opportunity in which to set these dynamics on its ear and reset Canada's role in how it's going to work on the world stage and understanding its role in terms of international security interests. To have Khalistani separatists and terrorists potentially inside our country and other groups, pro-Hamas, sympathizers and terrorists and raising funds is not good for Canada. It's not good for our international image, nor does it stabilize and provide a safe environment for Canadians to live in. So Jagmeet Singh has a lot to answer for. I think his numbers will only go down over time. And I think Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have a great opportunity to, win writ large in Canada with over 220, maybe even 240 seats. What we should be concerned, or not necessarily concerned about, is that who will form the official opposition. And right now that looks like the Bloc Québécois. And quite frankly, they've been the ones standing for Canada's sovereignty in a different way, and actually holding both the Conservatives and Liberals to account, and the NDP for their actions around diaspora politics.
Right, and the new leadership inside the Liberal Party, now we saw in the US elections, Dean, that Kamala Harris pretty much continued the policies of Joe Biden. She didn't break away from Joe Biden, which many experts say was the reason why she lost so badly to Donald Trump. Now, given the fact that there are so many social issues, social problems inside Canada, be it housing, the cost of living, etc., do you think the new Liberal Party leadership has to do away with Justin Trudeau? He is a thing of the past. They'll have to break away from his legacy that he established since 2015?
Absolutely. They must break away from this totally. This movement to the far, the woke left, agenda has done nothing in the end to serve the interests and in terms of engaging, the middle of the electorate. For many years, there are a lot of, individuals who were liberals, who supported this Liberal Party because of a balanced approach to both the economy and to social issues. But we've seen this move in a very, very dangerous direction. And I've had numerous conversations with a number of Liberal insiders who have been waiting for this opportunity to try to move the party back to the center. And if not the center, certainly center left. Right now it's far left. And I think this is dangerous for our country. And quite frankly, the Liberals, to have any opportunity to move back up in the polls, they will have to have a leader that understands the economic realities Canadians are facing and deal with those issues, as opposed to these, very altruistic issues that Justin Trudeau latched on.
Absolutely. Mr. Vohra, I want to come to you on this point. Whenever we talk of global diplomacy, there is always a line between political leadership at home and the diplomats who serve the country in other parts of the world. In many cases, the political leadership is on one side, and the grown-ups, if you will, are the diplomats who serve the national interests in other countries. We saw that with Donald Trump. He would bungle, he would say many weird statements and false statements on the international stage. But the American diplomats were the grown-ups in the room, and they would continue American interests in other parts of the world. Why do you think that same grown-up attitude has not come in from the Canadian side when it comes to dealing with the global powers, including India, which is why what we saw with Justin Trudeau percolated so badly on the international stage and ruined Canada's power equations as well as its image on the international stage?
May I say that's a brilliant observation that you've made. Thank you very much. Whatever happens domestically is for domestic reasons. This is vote bank politics. People do it to get elected. If they don't say the things that they believe voters want to hear, they will no longer be in power. Whereas when we are overseas and the host country calls us and say, why did your chap say this? We try and explain, look, this is for domestic reasons. This does not reflect on our bilateral relationship. We love you guys. We'll kiss you on both cheeks. I'll take you out to dinner, etc. Forget about this. This is what all democracies realized, and all of them practice. In his first term, a person I affectionately refer to as McDonald Trump used to say he would put duties on India because some American motorcycles were being charged heavy tariffs in India, etc., etc. Now, all that kind of thing is good for domestic consumption. But when it comes to international relations, geopolitics, geoeconomics, there it's very, very important that we deal with each other in a manner that we understand. Let me assure you, sir, I've been 51 years in diplomacy and counting. We speak the same language. We know what we are talking about. As far as Canada is concerned, I'm surprised. The High Commissioner, when he was summoned and told that India totally rejects what you're doing and we are booting out your chap because you booted out my fellows, this guy slammed the door shut on the journalist's camera. If you might recall that image. That did no good to Canada's image. Come on, you're an ambassador, you're a high commissioner, you may be a political appointee, but we expect you to have a little bit of maturity in these things. Sir, in the countries where I've been ambassador, they have said things to me that are not very pleasant. But I don't go around waving my fist at the guy and say, I'm going to bash in your teeth. I say, well, thank you very much. I've noted what you have to say and I'll report it to my government. So this was the kind of thing that was missing in Canadian. Although they've been very good, I've had some excellent Canadian colleagues in my posting. But here they've put their worst foot forward. Sir, my colleague from Canada, sir, take your country back. And tell Mr. Trudeau to do the world a favor, take a flight to Mars or to the moon or to the sun. If we can put him on one of our rockets and send him off on our space mission, he can settle down there, sir.
Absolutely. And Dean, carrying forward that point, all eyes are on Pierre Poilievre, how he will perform in the upcoming elections. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But tell us more about Pierre Poilievre. How should India look at the leader of the Conservatives when it comes to mending diplomatic ties between India and Canada, as well as tackling the grave social issues that Canada is going through? Because I remember Canada was known for two things, liberalism and universal healthcare. That was the global brand of Canada. But ever since Justin Trudeau in the last few years, that entire brand has been lost on the international stage. It's become a hotbed for radicalism. That has become the global brand. And the social issues where housing, medicine, access to education, access to social services, those have become huge problems for normal Canadians.
Yes, they have. He's inverted the whole, paradigm on its head, and ultimately, this creates a great opportunity for the Conservatives to, bring forward a vision for the country. And I think Pierre Poilievre has tried to do that with focusing in on the tax on the carbon tax, focusing in on the consumer, ultimately focusing in on pocketbook issues. As the former ambassador has said, the grown-ups in the room, the diplomats, they can manage at an international level. They need to be given a clear direction from leadership. I don't think that's happened from Justin Trudeau's government for some time, and hence it's been lost in the diplomatic engagement at many different levels, be that inside inside India or be that inside Washington. So there's an opportunity for a great reset here for this potential conservative majority government that right now, with all the polls, the way that they're looking, should be a cakewalk for him. But in the meantime, Justin Trudeau has a job to do before he leaves. Since he's prorogued Parliament, and we have Trump coming in January 21st has threatened the tariffs, we need to address the national security border issues, to which I'm very well apprised of and understand some of the deeper issues around that. And they do revolve around diaspora politicking playing, especially around the Chinese Communist Party's infiltration into Canada and ultimately influence inside the Canadian government. And ultimately, we should be looking after Canada's interests. We should be taking those back, and we should not allow foreign governments to drive our agenda for their own purposes.
So hopefully the grown-ups can take the reins of government again now that he's a caretaker prime minister.